Since the previous video, I've been busy finalizing the drawing for the chassis, separating the components out into different sheets that I can feed it into my CNC, arranging them, doing most of the cutting. Now I think I have most of the bodywork done. Well, the main chassis, the main shell is, I think it's done. And this is the first time I'm working with MDF, and so far I only use plywood, which generates much bigger chips than the MDF. So when I'm machining MDF, it just creates dust, and cleaning it up is a real mess. I'm hoping that the Hoover is not going to fail on me anytime soon. And the garage is like, everything is so dusty. So it's definitely a really messy work. This is where I am at the moment. If you notice that the construction is more like an IKEA furniture, so everything is flat packed. So there is two sides, the front and the top, and this part of the cab is made in two pieces because that's bigger than what I can put into my CNC. The top is in two pieces, slopes down. There's three pieces making this exhaust, I don't know what it's called, manifold. And then two sides for the cab. There's one big piece I managed to fit in, and again two pieces here for that. And then this the shorter section is again two side pieces, one top, and then an identical front or back piece. And I've also started milling some of these caps or brackets for the lights. I've done one test bracket for the window, so just I have a feeling about the tolerance and the sizes I want to work with. And but that's pretty much it. So at the moment it's held together with these clips, and in some places, for example here where it's not visible, I have tabs milled into the side and the top, and then the corresponding part has the hole in it, so it's all slussed together. So apart from the top, it pretty much stands on its own already, which is quite nice, but I haven't started gluing it up because I just wanted to see the whole piece the whole chassis in one piece, just to make sure that everything is right. I wanted to make sure that I have enough space inside for the batteries, which I do, so I can start planning some of the internal braces as well. And probably I also need to think about how I'm going to secure some of the corners. So this is 8mm MDF, and I will probably add some small strips of wood inside the corners just to make it a little bit sturdy, because I'm planning this to just go onto the main chassis and stands on its own. Probably have a few bolts to secure it down to the chassis, but that would be pretty much it. The idea about the cab is the roof of the cab would lift off. Oops. So the roof is made of two pieces, and I made these braces just to hold everything together. So nothing is glued at the moment, this is why it's falling apart. So if I want to charge the engine, I would take the top off, and there would be some charging points inside the cab. That's the inside of the cab, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dashboard, probably somewhere here, and maybe there will be another one here to hide. Well, first of all, to hide the batteries, and then some of the other components I probably need to install. And I want some of the meters that I got also to be put in here, so I can monitor the battery voltage, so that wouldn't go into the controller. But these windows are large enough to look through occasionally and check the battery voltage and stuff like that. And what I'm also thinking about is maybe putting like a charging socket here. So once you're done running, you take the roof off, you plug it in, and that's how it would charge. So there wouldn't be anything on the outside, because again, just for the sake of easy servicing, I want to make sure that I can just lift the body off and then have most of the electronics and most of the stuff inside. So probably I would only run a few cables to the lights that would need to be detached, but all the rest would be, you know, mostly bolted down to the chassis. And these dashboards would not be secured to the bodywork, but more secured to the, you know, the main chassis. So once I lift this off, then all that stuff will stay inside the cab. Well, at least that's the idea. So I will see how it goes. So a few more details about these light fixtures. So I got these LED 12-volt light bulbs, and so I made a cutout, and then within the cutout it has a small lip, so the light fits in from the inside, and it's very snug at the moment. And these parts here also have a lip, so I can just put it in from the inside. I made some screw holes, so it should be removable, and I'm even allowed some space in here to put a plexiglass or something in front, although it wouldn't be required because that has some sort of you know, plexi on the front as well, and it's not going to move around too much, so I think it should be all fine. But I see what I'm going to do. I'm planning on glazing the windows anyway, so I would need some plexiglass, so I might as well just cut a few more for these guys as well. And onto the back, I made these brackets which go in, and that should also hold the lights from the inside. These brackets would look like something like this, and the brackets go on like that, and then it's just about the right size, so this fits onto the back of the chassis. I mean, it's a snug fit already, but I thought maybe I just need this extra support. And of course the plug goes in here. It's a normal, I think, MR16 kind of the socket, so it should be easy to get a plug for this. And the whole thing is going to be removable, so if the bulb goes out, I can just unscrew this, remove, pop the whole thing out, and then replace it with a new one. So it should be fairly easy. So let me just freehand this section and then show you the details. So the two big cutouts will be are for vents, so that I need to get some grill mesh for this. Some old school stars on the front, and there is like a vent grill here as well. So again, the grill would go under it, and I have another piece, just one second, which looks exactly like that, so that would go underneath to support the grill. And I designed this sort of like exhaust section, so that would need a cover, and then a couple of pipes sticking through just to simulate exhaust. And then you have the cab. Let's go to the other side, it's more light here. So I wanted to keep the side quite fairly simple, so it's all milled out. There are no cut throughs, so it just like basically goes half deep into the material. I mean, this is just decoration. This looks like a handle. Same here. So I just wanted to keep it fairly simple. And if you look at the other panel, the other end, it's almost the same. I've drilled some holes already for handles, which I forgot to do here, so I would have to do it manually. And then the side would have one big window and a door, handle, step, a couple of holes drilled for handles again. I showed the top already. And what else? Yeah, the two big windows. So I think I would be driving it from this side, which means that I would have quite a good visibility of the dash through these big windows. And the back side looks exactly the same as the front. So I went yesterday to look at some batteries, so typical lead acid batteries, and I have plenty of space to fit them inside. I think to the back side is going to go sideways, and to the front it would just well, it can go either way, to be honest. So I should have plenty of space for additional electronics on each side. So I'm not too afraid about that. So as you can see, I have most of the panels cut already. So a couple of things are missing. So the front and the back grille, there is going to be a back plate as well, because it's quite a large area. So I want to make sure that it's held securely. I need a small part for in here, and the window frames, and of course this needs gluing up. And just a few other stuff to show. So these are the two connectors that I got. They have a nice tight fit. Actually, maybe too tight, yeah. So this is the, what is it, 5-pin one. So that would be ideal for charging. And another one is like, I think it's a 14-pin or something. Very tight. So like this. So that would be for the controller, and the other one would be the charger. And both of them comes with rubber, what is it, ring, and a couple of screws and nuts and washers. So quite nice. Since I started recording this episode, I got a few other parts out of the CNC, and I started gluing some of the panels together. So I have this front piece in one now, and then the back is also one piece now. I still haven't installed the front panel because I didn't find a grill for the opening, and I want to have the grill so I can just mill the support for the grill and then mount it before the whole thing goes up here, because that will be just easier to handle that way. I've milled some nice loco plates. So the two pine trees are the symbol from I think it's called the coat of arms or the city flag. So this is where my summer cottage is, and that's probably where the railway is going to end up. And you know, this is number one loco. So I have one for each side. Look nice. And here to the top of the exhaust, I found these two tubing. I made like a cap, some, I don't know, cover something, just make it a little bit more interesting. And yeah, and I have the roof glued up as well. So the 4 braces, and that's just a cutout for this exhaust. And it's going to sit like that. And of course this needs some milling and some filling up the grooves here and then sanding it down. But otherwise it looks pretty good. So I'm trying to figure out how I can just do the handrails here. I got some galvanized steel rods, but that would be difficult to bend, so I might need to get like a pipe bender or some other bender just to bend it nicely, so it gives nice round corners. But that's where I'm at the moment. And to finish this episode, this is that's my chassis. As I said, I'm not doing any metal work, so this was done for me. It's fairly simple, so 2 main beams. So everything here is 40 by 40 by 3. So as these are only millimeters. And so 2 main beams, 2 buffer beams here, which about just a centimeter shorter than the plate. And these 3 cross beams in the middle, which basically has the same spacing as the 2 motors. And a couple of holes, so that's where all the axles are going to go. So I have these axle bearings, so I have 4 of these. It's going to go like that with a long bolt and the springs somewhere here, which I still need to find. And the whole thing is just covered with I think this is 3 mil sheet steel. it just makes nicely bended over the end. So I have not only a buffer beam, but this buffer plate, I guess it's called. So these are my two motors that I got from eBay. So scooter, DC brushed scooter motors, and that's the cheapo PWM controller for it. And as I said in the previous video, I don't have any concept for how I'm going to do braking or anything like that. And I had a word with my father-in-law, who knows a little bit more about general electrical engineering, and he just said that I should go for a like a regular controller with a regenerative braking, because otherwise I would need to take care of changing direction and also braking with some sort of, I don't know, maybe resistive load, just to give a little bit of load on the motors, which would then provide braking. And all this I will need to do the probably relays or some other electronics, and it might just end up costing more than if I just go for a commercial product. So I looked over the web yesterday. I found a product from 4QD Electronics. I think it's DNO10. We should be suitable for this engine. Actually, I even dropped them an email saying that I have these motors and whether that would be suitable, and they responded saying that they built the scooter exactly with the same motors and it's just running 5 with the DNO10. So I placed the order yesterday. It should be arriving next week. But I just wanted to show you this. So that's only a 12-volt power supply. So even on max speed, it's just maximum setting, it will be just 1.5 speed. But at least you can see it's doing the job nicely. It has like an off setting or off position, and then so it does the job obviously without any load. So it would have been a nice alternative if this wouldn't be an engine which needs to brake and so on. And last but not least, let's look at the coupler design. So that's my coupler, and it has this joint or whatever. So this goes on like this, and that slides all the way through the buffer beam and this front plate, and the whole thing is screwed together. So I can just hold this with two, I think it's M6s, and then in the other side, this is drilled and tapped. So the idea is that I'm going to put a big washer here and a nut, and that would hold a spring. Oops. So that will hold the spring here. So that should give some tension when the drawbar is pulled. And the only other thing I haven't really thought of is what is going to stop this bar to go all the way in. So I might need to just put, just weld something here, like a washer, or just like a piece of weld which would stop this going all the way in. Probably my only reservation is that these holes are probably too close to the end of the rod, so it wouldn't give me a lot of space here. But that should be something that could be fixed rather easily. So looking good so far. Obviously, unless I have the chassis and the motors fixed and the drivetrain and the chains and the wheels in place, I'm not going to paint it. So it's rusting, but yeah, especially once the good weather comes and I can go outside and I can do some spray painting outside, it should be much better than trying to do all this in the garage. So I think that would be pretty much it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.